subscribe. That's what the streamers say. So I can try to say something. Subscribe. But wherever you're watching the show, wherever you're watching your show from, thanks for tuning in tonight. We're gonna get right to it. Just something that I had on the mind to talk about today. Rocking out is I'm just talking about myself. I am someone who is a homebody. I'm someone who's a homebody. I don't know if anybody's like that, but I'm too good at being at home to the point where like even sometimes my own family is looking for me. Sometimes now if like the only person who's actually consistently good at finding me is my girl. But other than that, I'm a homebody, and I felt like it'd be interesting to discuss like homebodyism, if that's a word. What that's like, and not just homebodying, but the essence of being alone, if that makes sense. The essence of being alone. I don't know, like I feel like we're in a space and time where there's a lot of focus on people feel like we're connected through social medias, we're connected through channels, you have people around you, but for some strange reason like people feel like they're to themselves and by themselves, and I felt like it'd be a cool thing to talk about, because what does that look like for some people? What does that mean? Like what is being alone represent to you? Because I feel like there's sometimes a negative stigma that's put on being alone, and sometimes it's like people always replace like loneliness and being alone as like interchangeable, that if you're always alone, then you just you must have like high levels of loneliness. And I felt like that may not necessarily be the case. I don't know, like I'm someone who is like I thrive best alone. Like I am someone who, you give me a space where I can just I have a good book or I have a good show, I will disappear for like 2-3 days. And I remember like I had a conversation with a friend of mine, his sister, and she was saying how like she's someone who's she's a working professional, and she's reached a lot of different places, she's done a lot of different things, and it's like now there's like people feel like she's getting a lot of pressure from family or whatever, like like when she's getting a partner, when she's starting a relationship and things like that. And she didn't have any like typical thing to say of it's not necessarily like I'm not interested. She just said I'm just good by myself. And when she said that, the conversation got like really awkward for some strange reason, because we were in a group of people. It was her, like another friend of hers, a sister, a co-worker and stuff like that. And it's like, oh okay, they just said oh okay. And I'm like, why did the conversation get awkward when she just said she described that she enjoys being alone? And I thought that'd be something cool to talk about, because it's an important thing to distinguish what it means to be alone and what it means to be lonely, if that makes sense. Like being alone just means there's no one around. Being lonely means you need someone around you, right? That I think that's two different things. And like being alone can be fun, being alone can be sad. It just depends on your personality, right? I don't know, like people say I'm lonely, or like I'm alone, I'm by myself, and they always relate it to something negative. They relate it to like being by yourself is a terrible thing, and I don't think that to be the case. I think like being alone is sometimes, for me personally, I don't know for anybody else, but I get my best thinking done when I'm by myself. Like I get my best thinking done when I'm by myself. But for someone who's lonely, sometimes they end up feeling like I have to have someone beside me, so they're probably thinking in the worst state. So loneliness, sometimes I feel like you can be thinking in the worst possible ways, and being alone, you can be thinking and being alone could be a good space for thinking positively, or for thinking productively. So like I don't know, why is it that like people put such a stigma on being alone? What I'm saying? Like you don't have to have someone beside you. Because sometimes forcing someone beside you, at the end of the day, it can actually put you in a place where, because you feel like you have someone beside you, you're opening your mouth unnecessarily. And we're gonna and we'll talk about one day I'm gonna talk about like opening your mouth unnecessarily. Like that is one of the worst things you could be doing. Like just opening your mouth unnecessarily. I'm a person, I feel like the more you talk when you have nothing to say, one, the stupider you sound, or two, the more useless things are coming out of your mouth. So being like suffering from loneliness, one, forces forces you to try to put someone beside you. And when you put someone beside you, you have to like try and create communications with the person who you put beside you or the people you put beside you, right? So I feel like it's not necessarily being alone that's the bad thing. It's like letting loneliness, and I feel like, and I've gone on, like loneliness is like, it's just like a need, if that makes sense, that you put on yourself. That's the biggest thing. I feel like from my again, PYM Live, you know, we're here every time. The PYM Militia, PYM Gang is a third party perspective, right? And I feel from a third party perspective, people introduce loneliness onto themselves. That's my perspective. I feel like people introduce loneliness onto themselves because they like see someone with someone else, or they see someone in a social setting, like they see something that they feel they don't have, and then they say, I need that picture. So if it's like a group of friends, I need that group of friends. It's like if someone with their loved ones, I need that to, like if it's someone with their girl or with their guy, I need that. And then because they say I need that, then they say, because I don't have that, now I'm lonely. But it's like nobody forced it on you. You forced it on yourself. You know what I'm saying? You put yourself in that predicament where it's like, I need someone beside me by force. Who put it on you? You know what I mean? Like, who put it on you? You did, right? So loneliness is not like out of something that is uncontrollable. I'm lonely. Like, woe is me. You control that. To me, at least. Again, no shorts, no shade, right? You control that, bro. And I feel like it's something that, you know, it affects us in a way, because when you put yourself in a state of loneliness, you make irrational decisions. You text someone you know you don't want to be texting. You talk to someone who you actually know has nothing to offer you. When you're lonely, you go outside when there's nothing outside for you. You know what I mean? Like, when you feel lonely, you can make some of the dumbest decisions when you feel lonely, right? So, like, it's not, being alone is not the negative thing. It's feeling lonely that can be dangerous. The second thing I feel like when it comes to loneliness is it's like you spend too much time thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if your whole focus is the fact that you don't have someone beside you, you know what you end up doing? You end up obsessing about it. Like, it becomes an obsession, if that makes sense. Like, you start to like really feel like it's a must have, to the point where you might even neglect other priorities, or you might neglect other things that make you, right? So like, what's the point of trying to focus on, like, what's the point of saying because you're lonely, you're going to focus on someone else being beside you, to the point where you start to neglect the things that make you. Because even if someone does come beside you, because you focused on trying to have someone beside you, you neglected the things that actually make you, if that makes sense. And when loneliness gets this thing, it's like it becomes an obsession, you know, and that can be dangerous, bro. Like, it can be seriously dangerous when you put yourself in that kind of predicament, when you put your mind in that kind of predicament. You know, because, bro, the truth of the matter is, it's not antisocial vibes, but you don't need a damn body. You don't need anybody. Let's say that, like, you don't need, like, there's your family. Don't get me wrong. There's your loved ones. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, but you don't actually need someone. You know what I'm saying? You can have someone beside you. It's better to be of value to someone than to need someone. If someone is valuable to you and you're valuable to them, it's, you know, it's two-way, it's healthy, it's developing. But to need someone, you already introduced like too much value versus what they can give to you. That's just my opinion. But hey, don't shoot me, right? But again, loneliness is the thing that's killing. Like, loneliness is the thing that people obsess about. Loneliness is the thing that people kind of focus on, right? So loneliness is the thing that, like, I was really wanting to come in and talk to you guys, like, bro, we can't keep going like this, you know, where you always want to be in a crowd of people, because you know, at the end of the day, that crowd of people can do for you is just be there. You know, the crowd of people is just a crowd of people. Sometimes you talk to them, sometimes you don't, but they're just there for you. Like, to be in the crowd of people is not the fun part. To be in a crowd of people is not the entertaining part. It's the moments. And I feel like you can have your best moments by your damn self. That's just me. Like your best moments, when you're watching a funny movie and you bust out laughing and no one's beside you. That is something you remember. When you get good news and you're dancing in your room. That's something you remember. When you get bad news and you're crying to yourself, that's something you remember. Your best moments sometimes are with yourself. Anyway, again, I'm a ranter guy, so I always say, like, take what you will from the rant. If you get something, great. If you don't, I apologize. But I'm just a ranter. I'm sharing my thoughts. Loneliness versus being alone. Loneliness versus being alone. That's the topic that I thought to share in today's session. Again, we're on PYM Live. If anyone's watching this or seeing this, subscribe. That's what they say. Subscribe. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna keep saying it because that's what they all say. So until I see something. All right. But I think being alone has a negative connotation, and I feel like PYM militia. I like saying PYM militia. I just shot it in someone's ear. I want us to break that. I feel like being alone is not a negative thing. I feel, one, because when you're alone with your thoughts, that is where you best reflect. When you're alone with your thoughts, that is where you best really observe. When you're just alone. Being alone is sometimes, and I understand why people don't like to be alone, because it can be scary when you're just by yourself. If you're in a good situation, it can be fun. If you're in a bad situation, it can be really scary, because you feel like, there's nothing to distract you. And I said it last time that we're going to talk about good distractions versus bad distractions. We'll talk about that at a later date. But there's nothing to distract you from just you. And I don't know why that's scary to people. If you don't know, again, when you're focusing on loneliness, you might be deflecting what makes you you. But when you are just alone, you get to develop what makes you you, right? Like, I feel like I'm a person that I'm highly adaptable, and I'm not really bothered by a lot of things. That's just the truth for me, right? But I had to learn that about myself, right? How do you best present yourself if you don't know yourself, right? And I feel like the best place to know yourself is when you're by yourself, right? And when you're by yourself, the easiest thing to do is distract yourself, right? But it's there that you find, what makes you you? What is me? What is, who am I, this person at this time? Because you're always changing. We always say we're changing every day. We're growing every day. So if you're growing every day and you're changing every day, why don't not take the time to, assess the daily changes? Because you'll be shocked to find that the things that made you laugh maybe a year ago don't make you laugh right now. The things that make you cry a year ago don't make you cry right now. Or the things that upset you maybe a year ago upset you even further now. Like, every day you're changing because you're interacting with people, right? And you're interacting with your environment. So if that's the case, why not spend time with yourself to figure out where you are in your development? And I feel like it's hard to know what you're saying or who you are if there's always chatter around you. You know what I mean? It's just hard. So, how do you do that then? How would you best grow if you don't know yourself? You know what I mean? That it's just not efficient. It's just not efficient. So I think, if anything at all, it's a steady thing of embrace being by yourself. I'll share one too about myself. One thing I learned about myself is that I love, listen to me, I have no shame, I no cares what you think, I love Chinese fan fiction. I'm so serious. Chinese authors write the best stories I've ever read in my life. When I say I enjoy those things, I can read a Chinese novel. I don't know. I can read a Chinese novel for 6 hours straight. No hesitation. Right? And some might find that weird. Some might find that lame. Some might find that goofy. I don't care. It's my enjoyment, not yours. You know what I'm saying? It's my enjoyment, and I enjoy that, right? But I discovered that about myself because I found I don't mind a movie, I don't mind going out, I don't mind hanging with friends, but when I want something that's really entertaining for me and I have a period of time, I will pick up a Chinese book. You won't find me, I'm in the covers and I'm reading that thing, right? So, but I discovered that about myself. The one thing I also do is me, when it comes to and I'll give game on my survival of this thing called the mind. This is me as when it comes to dealing with other people and interactions. Me, I'll describe myself when it comes to social interactions as like, I'm an introvert, sure, but I'm a good conversationalist. So how I do things is that I have like a battery when it comes to social interactions. I have a good battery. Like when the battery is charged, oh hey man, how you doing? Good to see you. We chop it up, whatever the case may be. We'll chop it up. But the moment that battery is done, I disappear. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't open my mouth again. So I know that. So when I'm depending on the space or on the scene, I leverage that. So if I know that I'm going to be somewhere for like 2+ hours, I'll make sure that I do all the hello highs within the first 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And then I lock in on like one person. We talk for like another 20 minutes. My battery's at 50%. Then I read the room 1, 2, hello, hi, and I'm done. After that 30 minute, 45 minute interactions, I'm not opening my mouth again. I might just go and hide in my car and then you won't see me again because I don't want to open my mouth. But I discovered that, right? And I only discovered that because, again, being alone, I realized that that's the best way to go through conversations in social settings. I'm not a social butterfly. It's just not me. That's one thing I discovered. So your best discoveries often when it comes to how to, best use your strengths and your skill sets come by spending time with yourself. So I feel like I don't want to, I'm tired of the stigma of like being alone sucks. Being alone does not suck at any phase of life. I don't care whether you're 18, 25, 30. Being alone does not suck. Suffering from loneliness sucks, but being alone is fantastic if you let it be. It can be scary if you let it be, but it's a blank canvas. It's loneliness that can kill you. But being alone is no problem at all if you utilize it well. Now, if you don't utilize it well, it'll dwaddle into loneliness. One thing I always say when I come on here is I wish you perfect health. I wish you perfect wealth. I wish you perfect love. And I wish you perfect self-expression. And then in all that you do, that your mind will be secure and growing every single day. All right, I'm going to say that every single time I come on the stream because at the end of the day, it's the focus. It's the only focus. The world is getting more and more complex, and there's nothing more complex than the mind. So that's what we focus on over here. But yeah, man, it was cool. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe. That's what I always say. I hear them. Subscribe. We on Twitch at PYM Live Official, on YouTube as PYM Live, and then we have our Facebook page as PYM Live as well. Pretty much more to come. I'll be back on Sunday, 9:30 sharp. Maybe 9:35, as I always say, because technicalities are getting better. Technical stuff is getting better. Y'all have a great night. This was a lot of fun. Hope I can help someone. Hope someone benefit from the rants. I'll be back with more rants on Sunday. Y'all have a great night. Peace.